Happy Tuesday and welcome to this broadcast filled with the latest and new current events from across Namibia, Africa and the world throughout the lunch hour, ranging from sports, economic news and international headlines.
Coming up in this lunch hour, Agriculture Minister speaks about foot and mouth disease outbreak and subsequent closure of the Namibian border to weaner exports. Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Sebastian Ndeitunga, readies to bow out. National Development Budget Advisor in the Finance Ministry highlights government-funded projects in the Erongo region. Ukraine has banned a public celebration commemorating independence from Soviet rule, citing a heightened threat of attack from Russia. I am Aina Kweo.
And I am Ashwin Bedi, here to bring you these stories and more on NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, the bail application of fish rot accused Tamsin Hatukilipi resumes today in the Windhoek High Court. Businessman Tamsin Hatukilipi was back in court in July to apply for bail on grounds that there are many off-ramp court processes going on which would delay the start of the fish rot trial, saying this would mean remaining in jail pending finalization of those matters. Hatukilipi argued that it is unfair to keep him behind bars while these related court challenges are going on, adding that his incarceration also means he does not have money to pay his lawyers to attend the fish rot pre-trial report. The court proceedings resume today.
Now remember to engage with us on these stories on social media as we share some community news stories from across the country, and on the other side we bring you our visual news segment. Stay with us.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Getting into this afternoon's visual news clips, Agriculture Minister Karl Schlattwein speaks about the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in South Africa, which has led to the subsequent closure of the Namibian border to weaner exports. This video is courtesy of the Agriculture Ministry.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. There was an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in South Africa. It's a serious one. By now we understand covering 6 of the provinces in South Africa. As a reaction to that and to protect our disease-free zone status, we stopped all the imports from South Africa of live animals, fresh meat, fodder, vegetables, fruit, everything that can be in contact with cattle and carry the disease into our disease-free zone. We have to do that because we have an unvaccinated, that is a naive population of cattle, and the disease-free zone status is pivotal to our ability to export 70% of our production to the best paying markets of the world. It's a crucial issue that we maintain that status. So we have, as a result of that, prohibited or closed the border for live animals, fresh meat, any fresh milk produce, any fodder, any hay, grass, vegetables, fruit. That is in reaction to the foot and mouth disease. Now South Africa itself has also stopped and prohibited imports from us to them. So we cannot move any cattle, any weaners to the South African market. So they equally, in order to assist them to control the disease that's now prevalent, has stopped movement. So I think it is a reaction that both countries do to protect their own disease status and their ability to create and maintain a sound animal health situation in their countries.
President Hage Geingob thanked the outgoing Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Sebastian Ndeitunga, for his service as he prepares to retire. Ohone Tlage was there.
The first one is the construction of Kariwip Airport Air Force Base, received a 7 million and
for you. It was not yours. You could be called anytime something happens, he's called. And he said, leave you and go to defend Arab. You know, feelings of pain. How about us? But that's the nature of assignment of father and husband, which he has carried out with dignity and honor. That's what we thought we should call, invite some of his colleagues, some of the ministers that we're working with, including his minister who just coming now, to say thank you and farewell. But thank you to some of us, the best colleagues, for the relationship we had, for any time of the night, we will be given an answer of apology in case he miss you, and go back and carry out the duties assigned. Then, as it happened, I asked him questions earlier, I got a report. That's the type of person we had. And also, we tried to create a new police force. Police force where they recruit young people.
Lena Sindano, the National Development Budget Advisor in the Finance Ministry, highlights the various government-funded projects in the Erongo region. She stated that there are currently 69 ongoing projects which are moving at a slow pace due to limited funds.
the first one is the construction of Kariwip Airport Air Force Base, received a 7 million and the whole allocation is with 7 million. So far they've spent 2.1 million in the first quarter and there's commitment of 500,000 and the execution rate is 31.08%. The second project is the construction of a primary school in Swakopmund. It has allocation of 14 million and the expenditure so far is just 59,000. So the execution rate is 0.42%. And then we have training and renovation of Swakopmund District Hospital, allocation of 7 million, expenditure is 1.7 million, and the commitment of 143,000. So the execution rate is 24.81%. And then we have the construction of houses in Namibia, which is the mass housing. It has allocation of 40 million because it's close to many regions. And for Erongo alone, it has allocation of 15 million. And the expenditure overall for the whole project is 3.4 million. And there's commitment of 20.3 million. And the rate is standing at 8.45%. And then we have construction of Swakopmund Hentis Bay Kamanya, which is also running into two regions, which is Kunene and Erongo. It has an allocation of 120 million, and for Erongo it's 60 million. So far, overall for the whole project, the expenditure is at 36.3 million, and the execution rate is 30.29%.
Activists Dimbulukeni Nauyoma and Michael Amushelolo were granted bail yesterday, while Deputy General Joseph Shikongo was promoted to Inspector General, who will replace the outgoing police Sebastian Ndeitunga. We have more news on this after the break.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toivon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
All right, let's head into the newspaper review on NMH at 1. Prison only hardened our fortitude, says affirmative repositioning movement activist Dimbulukeni Nauyoma, as quoted in our first paper under review, the Namibian Sun. Nauyoma says spending nearly 3 months in jail alongside Namibia economic freedom fighters Commissar Michael Amshelelo has only convinced them to up the ante on activism against injustices in the country. The pair were granted bail in the Windhoek High Court yesterday, having been behind bars since May for threatening to close down Chinatown, which they said was given preferential treatment by the Namibia Revenue Agency, while counterfeit goods belonging to Namibians were being destroyed. In another story, former Health Minister Bernard Haufiku has confirmed authoring a widely circulated piece vowing to reduce the size of cabinet and parliament after the upcoming SWAPO Congress. It is not known if Haufiku made the remarks on behalf of any of the camps that will contest at the November Congress. Now, the Kunene region is facing challenges of inadequate funding, slow procurement processes, and late approval of its budget, which has hampered the execution of development projects. This is according to the region's progress report for 2021 to 2022, presented to the National Council. The report pointed out that the region has been in the grips of a terrible drought, with the constituencies of Opuwo, Ruro, Epupa, Korihas, and Sesfontein experiencing a dry period that has lasted for 7 years.
On a Republican's front page, Agriculture Minister Karl Schleitwein said that Namibia will not be treated like a lamb to slaughter following an uproar from South African Agricultural Organization with regards to the country's imports ban on crop and horticultural products. The Namibian Agronomic Board has in the meantime dismissed reports that current restrictions in Namibia on certain agronomic and horticultural crops from South Africa are against the Southern African Customs Union Agreement. On page 3, the Republican reports that the Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair team is in the process of finalizing preparations by setting up exhibition stands at the showground before it kicks off this Friday. A total of 120 security guards from 4 companies have been hired to ensure the safety of exhibitors and visitors alike. The expo is taking place for the first time since 2019. The trade fair has been cancelled for the past 2 years due to COVID-19 outbreak. This year it will be hosted under the theme Gearing for a Smart Economy. President Hage Geingob is expected to give a keynote address during the official opening ceremony on the 28th of August.
Now, with a German initiative for communication between Namibian institutions for developmental cooperation, a body has now been constituted after intensive preparatory work focusing on the education sector and its development. This is according to the Allgemeine Zeitung. Now, on its page 3, in recent weeks, the issue of alleged self-defense with a weapon and fatal consequences has increasingly come to the front pages of the local media. When and how one can and or may defend oneself with and in confines of the Namibian law ultimately remains a question that the police investigators must answer. Stay with us as we continue with news from the local dailies after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Continuing with our newspaper review here on NMH at 1, President Hage Geingob leads the Namibian newspaper reported to have blasted those occupying serviced or unprepared land illegally, saying they are settling in areas for which no services were planned and then complaining about the inhuman conditions they are living in. You just come and settle in areas in which no water, no toilet facilities were planned for, and you go and say you are suffering. Hage Geingob is quoted to have said during a courtesy visit to the Council of Churches yesterday. In a separate story, a man who had been attacked by a hippo on the 9th of August contemplates how he will continue to care for his family after he lost his right leg and injured his genitals during the attack. Now, in our next story on page 3 of the Namibian, the city of Windhoek urges residents to apply for their new offering prepaid water meters, which would include replacement or conversion of existing postpaid and connections. The new prepaid water meters work in the same way as the prepaid electricity meter offered by the municipality and will shut off the water supply once all credits have been consumed. Installation of the new service is subject to change, says the municipality, but is currently valued at 4,486 excluding VAT.
Now, the New Era reports on the rise of incoming Inspector General of the Namibian Police, who will replace Sebastian Ndeitunga when he goes into retirement on 1 September. Major General Joseph Shikongo rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel on 1 September 1998 from being an officer in the Namibia Defense Force. Shikongo's term lapses in September 2024. During the ceremony yesterday, Geingob thanked the outgoing Ndeitunga, saying that he served in the position with distinction, honor, and sacrifice. The paper further reports on its page 3 that Higher Education Minister Itakanji Murangi last week directed the newly appointed board members of the National Commission on Research, Science and Technology to finalize the appointment of a substantive CEO without delay.
Now, even though the youth might have new, fresh ideas on how socio-economic development, socio-economic challenges can be addressed, Africans in general and Namibians in particular believe it is important to listen to the wisdom of elders, reports the Market Watch. This was revealed in the latest Afrobarometer survey in 34 African countries. According to the survey, 34 African countries average listen to the wisdom of the elders stood a 57%, while those that listen to ideas of young people scored 38%. This implies that almost 6 in 10 respondents, which is 57%, including 54% of the youth, agree or strongly agree that in order for the country to do well, governments should listen to the wisdom of the elders.
Now, the Namibian Agronomic Board has dismissed reports that current restrictions in Namibia on certain agronomic and horticultural crops from South Africa are against the Southern African Customs Union Agreement. More on this story after the break as Aina takes you through economic news.
Careers Bistro focuses on the movers and shakers in the corporate world. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact Zone at synergy.com.na.
In our economic news, the Namibian Agronomic Board has dismissed reports that current restrictions in Namibia on certain agronomic and horticultural crops from South Africa are against the Southern African Custom Agreement. Agriculture Minister Carl Schleitven said that Namibia will not be treated like a lamb to slaughter following an uproar from South African Agricultural Organization with regards to the country's import ban on crop and horticultural products. The Namibian Agronomic Board has in the meantime dismissed reports that the current restrictions in Namibia on certain agronomic and horticultural crops from South Africa are against the Southern African Custom Unions. This follows after the Agri-SA wrote to South African Agriculture Minister Toko Didiza requesting urgent intervention and stating that Botswana and Namibia took unilateral action to block a number of South African agricultural commodities from entering their borders. Agri-SA, a federation of agricultural organizations, said the South African government must immediately respond to this unjustified action in a violation of the Southern African Customs Union. In response to the statement by Christoph van Riede, Executive Director of Agri-SA, in which he describes Botswana and Namibia's action as particularly horrific, Schleitven said, "What is horrific is how South Africa is countering our industrialization." The minister, in components made to Namibia Media Holding yesterday, added that South Africa maintains a double morality. They dumped their products onto our market and introduce all kinds of rules to protect their market, but get unhappy when we do what we want. When we wanted to import sugar from other markets that are cheaper than South Africa, they banned it. Similarly, they did not want to grant a rebate on wheat import when we asked for it. He said Agri-SA requested that if their government cannot succeed in having Namibia's import ban lifted, it should introduce similar measures such as the possible cessation of payments from SACCO's common revenue pool. Now, in our next story, Sasol has declared a gross final cash dividend of 14.70 Rand per share for the year ended in June as the high crude and chemical price pushed earnings higher. The dividend is the first to be declared since 2019. It is also the highest dividend per share paid by the synthetic fuel and chemical group. Sasol said its board is satisfied with the liquidation and solvency of the company, as well as inadequacy remaining repayment of the dividend are efficient to support the current operation for ensuring the year. Sasol delivered a strong set of financial results, having benefited from higher oil and chemical prices, as well as the cost of capital discipline. Earnings before interest and tax of 61.4 billion rand increased significantly, up to 16.62 billion rand in the previous year. Headlines earning grew by 21% to 29.73 billion rand. This was offset by lower volumes performance, mainly due to the operational challenges experienced in the first half of the financial year. Now let's have a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar has dropped in value when weighed against the Chinese yuan, but rose the veil against the euro and the British pound. Capricorn Investment Group stock now trades 0.60% higher on the NSX, while other stock prices remain unchanged. Trustco Group Holdings stock prices saw a 12.20% rise on the NSX. Local index also closed 0.08% higher according to available data. Zinc and Brent crude oil rose in price, while these other commodities have dropped in price. A group of armed men abducted 4 Catholic nuns in Imo State in southeastern Nigeria, where kidnappings for ransom arrived. The full story after the break.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
Let's get into our African news. A group of armed men abducted 4 Catholic nuns in Imo State, southeastern Nigeria, where kidnappings for ransom arrived, police said on Monday. Imo police spokesperson Michael Upton told AFP the nuns were abducted on Sunday near the town of Okigwe on their way to the Mass. Kidnappings are common in Africa's most populous country, which has been hit by a severe economic crisis and is plagued by widespread crime. While some hostages are killed, most are released after ransom is paid. In recent months, a clergy has been increasingly targeted by criminals, not for religious or ideological reasons, but rather because the church is perceived to have a capacity to mobilize the faithful to pay ransom. Southeast Nigeria is experiencing an upsurge in violence attributed to the independent movement for the indigenous people of Biafra. The IPOB, which is speaking a separate state for Igbo ethnic group, has rather repeatedly denied responsibility for the violence in the region. Now, in our next story, Uganda's police has charged 4 of its officers who stormed a wedding reception over the weekend and arrested the bride over theft charge. The 4 have been charged for undiscreditable conduct, which upon conviction could see them dismissed from the force, police spokesperson Fred Enaga said. Following her arrest on Saturday night, the bride was driven to the police station in Babara in western Uganda, where she was detained overnight. She was released on Sunday. Police says the arrest was uncalled for based on poor judgment. It turned out that what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life ended in nightmare, Master Enaga said in a statement. One officer involved in the arrest is in custody, while the other 3 are still hiding, the police spokesperson said. The theft charge against the bride followed complaints by the former employer, where she worked as a bank agent. Now, in our next story, South Africa's Eastern Cape province will, for the first time in history, translate examination papers into isiXhosa and Sesotho. Public broadcaster SABC codes an official as saying the grade 12 exam that are being translated are mathematics, physical science, life science, history, agricultural science, and accounting. In an interview, Education Department spokesperson Malibongwe Mtima said the changes were meant to give all languages equitable status and were in line with the country's constitution. As the constitution permits, we ensure that all agricultural languages are given equitable status so that at least learners or people that are speaking certain languages do not feel inferior. Master Mtima was quoted as saying, isiXhosa and Sesotho are 2 of South Africa's 11 official languages. The Eastern Cape is a homeland to many Xhosa-speaking people. Now, in our international news slot, we take a trip to South Korea after the break.
With the focus on mind, body, and soul, the medical focus aims to embrace that which makes us human, to empower, enlighten, and bring hope in restoring the equilibrium to be the best that we can be, to bring change where change is needed, to inspire to be better, and to restore that which is out of balance. Find the much anticipated medical focus, which will be published in the Republikein, Namibian Sun, and Algemeine Zeitung, and the glossy magazines, which will be distributed to selected retail outlets, subscribers, and advertising partners.
Heading into this afternoon's international news, last week New Zealand police said they had discovered the remains of 2 children who are thought to have been between 5 and 10 years old when they died in suitcases. The bodies were discovered after an unsuspecting family bought a trailer load of items, including the suitcases, at an auction for abandoned goods. New Zealand police have said the bodies were likely to have been in storage for several years, which has complicated the investigation into the crime. Police said on Monday that a woman of Korean descent, who is believed to be related to the children, is currently in South Korea. Police have been checking hours of CCTV footage, but key moments could have been already erased due to the delay between when the victims died and the discovery of the bodies. Both the storage unit and property where the suitcases were taken have been thoroughly examined by forensic experts. Authorities in New Zealand reiterated last week that the family who found the bodies were not connected to the homicide. Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, has banned public celebrations commemorating independence from Soviet rule, citing heightened threat of attack from Russia. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo, reporting from Kyiv on Monday, said the Ukrainian capital is banning any type of mass gatherings, while the city's military administrator is ordering security forces to be ready to respond to any type of incidents like missile attacks and bombings. The ban came after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow could try something particularly ugly in the run-up to Wednesday's 31st independence anniversary, which also marks half a year since Russia invaded. The Reuters news agency, citing an official document, said the ban on public events related to the anniversary will last from Monday through Thursday. Kyiv is far from the front lines and has only rarely been hit by Russian missiles since Ukrainian troops repelled a Russian ground offensive to seize the capital in March. Other jurisdictions also restricted public gatherings. In Kharkiv, a northern city that has come under frequent and deadly long-range artillery and rocket fire, Mayor Ihor Terekov announced an extension to an overnight curfew to run from 4 p.m. to 7 a.m., effective Tuesday to Thursday. Stay with us as we head into your local sports after the break. Heading into local sport, although the Namibia Football Association is currently under the administration of the FIFA Normalization Committee, they will eventually have to pave the way for new leadership. Namibian Sun recently spoke to high-profile decision makers and administrators in football circles about their wish list for a new president. The hot seat, which comes with a jet-setting lifestyle and power, would likely be contested after the FIFA Normalization Committee has assisted with the review and amended constitution. The names of former athletes, footballers, as well as administrators of the previous regime are among those tipped for the throne. On several platforms, the former Brave Warriors coach Ricardo Manetti was named as a potential leader. Now, Special Olympics Namibia took 11 athletes with and without disabilities from Khomas and Erongo regions to participate in the Unity Sports competition in the United States in July, where the team won gold. The team, accompanied by the ambassador for Special Olympics Namibia, Lolo Hoaseb, visited the office of Erongo Governor Nevo Andre on Monday to show off their medals and encourage others to never stop trying to achieve their dreams, regardless of their different abilities. The Special Olympics Unified Cup took place from 31 July to 6 August in Southeast Michigan and Detroit. Now, the annual SFC Squash Club Championships took place in Swakopmund from over the past weekend and was described as a major success. It was an extremely successful tournament for men, ladies and juniors, where 35 players battled it out at a very high level for club rankings, said organizer Kate Duvel. The winners of the men was Devon Savage and juniors division was Kai Duvel. They will be representing SFC at the BDO Open Tournament next month on 15 to 17 September in Windhoek. Judy Savage won the ladies division. The men's runner-up Brandon Grane and Namibia's second seed has been selected to represent Namibia at the All Africa Games in Zimbabwe from 14 to 21 October. Duval said many new members have been recruited during this year, and so the tournament provided an opportunity to influence their national positions. After the break, we talk about what might be the story of the day in international sport. Manchester United getting the best of Liverpool. Stay with us. Moving into international sport, Erik ten Hag secured his first win as Manchester United manager as goals from Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford beat Liverpool 2-1 at Old Trafford on Monday. United had started the weekend bottom of the Premier League but moved above Liverpool on a massive night for their new Dutch manager. Liverpool's expected title challenge is fading fast, with Jurgen Klopp's men yet to win 3 games into the new season. United fans began the evening by marching on Old Trafford in protest at the decade of decline overseen by the club's owners, the Glazer family. Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel has been charged with improper conduct following his comments on referee Anthony Taylor's decision in the ill-tempered Premier League draw with Tottenham Hotspur, England's Football Association said on Monday. Tuchel accused Taylor and the video assistant referee Mike Dean of making wrong decisions, which ultimately helped Spurs come away from Stamford Bridge with a point as tempers fled, and both he and his counterpart Antonio Conte saw red. Springbok coach Jacques Ninaba has handed Warwick Gallant a start on the right wing and recalled scrum half Faf de Klerk in the only 2 changes to his starting team for their Castle Lager Rugby Championship Tour match against Australia in Adelaide on Saturday. Gallant takes over from Jesse Kriel on the wing, while de Klerk has completed his return to play protocol after missing the second test against New Zealand due to concussion, and slots in Jaden Hendrickse. Now Ninaba has also made 3 changes to the replacement bench, which features a split of 5 forwards and 3 backs, where Hendrickse takes over from Herschel Yankees and Elton Yankees, who will provide fly half cover, and Frans Steyn additional cover at the back. Willie Leroux and Jasper Wisvise are not in the match 23 this weekend. Stay with us as we head into the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast after the break.
With the focus on mind, body and soul, the medical focus aims to embrace that which makes us human, to empower, enlighten, and bring hope in restoring the equilibrium to be the best that we can be, to bring change where change is needed, to inspire to be better, and to restore that which is out of balance. Find the much anticipated medical focus, which will be published in the Republikein, Namibian Sun, and Algemeine Zeitung, and the glossy magazines, which will be distributed to selected retail outlets, subscribers, and advertising partners.
Thank you for watching NMH at 1 on this beautiful Tuesday morning. If you're just joining us, here are our highlights. Tuesday afternoon rather. All right, a group of armed men abducted 4 Catholic nuns in Imo State in southern eastern Nigeria, where kidnappings for ransom arrived, police said on a Monday. Although the Namibian Football Association is currently under the administration of the FIFA Normalization Committee, they will eventually have to pave the way for a new leadership. Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, has banned public celebration commemorating independence from Soviet rule, citing a heightened threat of attack from Russia.
Those have been your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with Ashwin Berry and Aina Riza Kweyo. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. That's it from us in studio. But don't go anywhere, because up next we take a look at the news making waves in Namibia's northern region with our correspondent Tuyemo Haidula. Have a phenomenal day.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to another episode of Regional Review. I'll be your host, Tuyemo Haidula, and I'm coming to you from Oshana region. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, and this is our first edition of 26 minutes for Regional Review. Please do stay tuned as we bring you an exciting lineup of news and how interesting it was for the just ended 7th Congress, the SWAPO Youth League Congress. There is no better feeling than the wind in your hair as you look out at a beautiful horizon. Ride the Wind Day is an excellent opportunity to marvel at things, flying, and perhaps take part in some flying yourself. Wind powers movement in many different ways, helping us travel through air and over water, as well as providing us with energy to use in our homes. SWAPO Party President Hage Geingob told the ruling party's critics to go to hell, saying the party will not die as they are claiming. Geingob was addressing the opening session of the Congress of the party's youth wing, which kicked off in Erongo in Oshana region on Thursday. Geingob said that SWAPO remains firm despite what its enemies say. Please take a look at the insert of the SPYL 7th Congress.
Huh? Now they are too long. We are elected democratically. We'll defeat you again. Well, what I'm seeing here, are you dead? Is the youth league dead? Is SWAPO dead? I didn't hear it properly. Is SWAPO dead? I didn't hear it. I'm an old man. Is SWAPO dead? None of them can run it. All of them are fighting where they were. I told them, I was telling my colleagues, let them go and see how it is. In 6 months, they are finished. You can run a municipality. You can run a country, this country. Don't fool us. Okay, finally, I always aspire to serve our people, fulfilling our national developmental objectives and delivering on the promise of a better life for all Namibians. As young cadres, you need to be the pride of SWAPO.
The SWAPO Party Youth League 7th Congress ended with the Wings Secretary Ephraim Ndeitunga blasting the party's leaders, saying they should leave the youth alone and not drag them in their political infights. Ndeitunga made the remarks when he delivered his acceptance speech at Erongo on Sunday when the Congress ended. Ndeitunga and his deputy Christine Haindaka retained their positions unopposed, dashing the hopes of Willem Hamtenya, who hoped to contest for the position of the National Secretary. Take a look at the just ended 7th Congress for the SPYL.
Let me just finish, comrade. Comrade, let me finish the entire list so that we can move faster. So candidate number 16 is Lloyd Lucas with 224. Number 17, Comrade Mauricia Dilenge, 222. 18. Candidate number 2, comrade, can we just hold it until we finish, then we can do the celebrations when we're gone. Candidate number 2 from now is Comrade Norman Harrison. Comrade. Comrade, can we stop the celebration? All right, comrade.
The National Congress, otherwise we need to leave it to the Central Committee to elect 4 candidates and then 16 delegates. Because we need to look at people that will not be able to sell the candidate of the SWAPO Party Youth League. I thank you, I submit.
All right, comrade, can we
defend and respect the SWAPO Party Youth League Constitution?
And uphold, defend and respect the SWAPO Party Constitution.
I shall at all times defend and promote the aims, objectives and values of SWAPO Youth League.
I shall at all times defend and promote the aims, objectives and values of the SWAPO Party Youth League.
And shall execute my duty with honesty, loyalty and dedication to the best of my ability. And shall execute my duty with honesty, loyalty and dedication to the best of my ability. And I shall not divulge directly or indirectly any information that may have been entrusted to me under secrecy.
And I shall not divulge directly or indirectly any information that may have been entrusted to me under secrecy.
So raise your hand and say,
so help me God.
Divide us. And remember, always divided we stand. united, divided. So, therefore, comrade media, as you are here, you have really caused distractions. You have really caused distractions. We are disturbed. We are disturbed. We are disturbed that you have gone to an extent of saying things to some of us without even giving us the opportunity to respond to those allegations. And you go ahead. I don't know what is your agenda, especially New Era. We are disappointed. A state newspaper for that matter. Don't be used by those who have their agenda. Yes. As I also speak about unity, I want to warn the party leadership that we as the young people, we must not be thrown into your politics. I want to say it categorically. Leave us with your agenda. If you are going to stand as president, vice president, secretary general, leave us alone. You are causing a division in this party. The party is going down because of you, the leadership that are destroying the party. Stop us, leave us alone in your fight. We are not there.
Careers Bistro focuses on the movers and shakers in the corporate world. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact Zone at synergy.com.na.
Namibian marathon ace Hilaria Johannes became the patron of the Run Along Foundation on Saturday. Johannes said there is no assistant for athletes in the country and she wants to use her experience to assist young talented athletes to achieve their dreams. Take a look at an insert video of Hilaria Johannes accepting her role as the Run Along Foundation patron.
My experience for today, when I ran among with fellow runners who turn up in a huge amount, we are very much thankful for those who are making it to come and run with us among the Run Along Foundation. So my experience was quite good because most of the runners who turn up to run in this wonderful morning, they did their best. And they get inspiration from us professional runners who came to run with them. So they were so much excited to see us, and we were also very much excited to see them because, you know, we are vision, and my vision, let me say my vision, is to groom the young Namibians runners who want to follow my footsteps